Good day. My name is Steve Young, and I'm a Cloud Solution Architect with Microsoft Canada. This is a video recording of a tutorial walkthrough that I provided for a virtual workshop. As sessions have gone from in-person to virtual, I recorded this tutorial as we were not able to provide hands-on labs. The tutorial is itself available at the link shown below. So we used this video as a walkthrough of the tutorial that people could then do on their own. I divided the tutorial up into 9 parts, so each was roughly 5 to 9 minutes, and we'd stop for questions in between each portion. I did not include Demo 2, a walk through the interface, nor Demo 7, orchestrate activities with pipelines, in this recording, as we covered those topics in more detailed discussions. So let's get started. In Demo 1, we're going to set up some of our basic objects for the solution. Here we're signed into our Azure portal, and I like to create the resource group first, creating all of the objects in this one resource group. The resource group in Azure drives security, separation of different projects and groups. This also makes it easier with this type of test or demo in that I can delete the resource group, and when I'm finished, all of the objects created within it will also be deleted. So let's create the resource group first. The resource group will be in East US 2. The resource group location can be anywhere, but I like the consistency and tend to keep my data objects in the same data center to avoid cross data center data charges. As Azure Synapse Analytics is in private preview, it will not be available in every region during this preview. More information will be released closer to GA. So let's create a resource group by clicking on the plus. And if we type in the object that we want to create, so resource group comes up in the search box. We click on resource group, and then we can now click create to create a resource group. So your first step, if you have multiple subscriptions, just make sure that your subscription that you're selecting is the one that you want. The resource group name will have RG ASA demo, and we're actually going to put this in East US 2, which is where our Azure Synapse instance is going to be located. So if we're happy with this, we can click review and create. So on the review and create screen, I do like to go through, make sure I've set up everything correctly, because it's a little harder to change something after you've been in a solution for a month or two. So just make sure that everything is what you're looking for. And then when you're ready, just click on the create. It'll validate. Once it's finished, you'll see up here at the top, your resource group was created. And let's go to the resource group where we can create some of our other objects. In order to create the Azure Synapse instance in Workspace, we need to have a data lake first. So let's add one to the resource group. So from the resource group screen, let's click the plus add, search for storage account, and then select create. So we're going to create our storage account. Make sure you're at the correct subscription. The resource group should be auto-populated, as that we created this from within the resource group. A storage account name, again, no special characters, all lowercase. SA for storage account. Tutorial. The location should be in the same region as we want to create our Azure Synapse Analytics instance, and we're going to use US East 2 for that. And for a lot of this, we're just going to keep the default. Keep it simple for the tutorial. Keep the same networking, data protection. Now the advanced, we want to make sure that we have enabled the hierarchical namespace for the data lake Gen 2. Tags, again, if you have tags or your organization uses tags to keep track of billing or resources, you can fill any in here. We can review and create. And again, just make sure this is all correct, what you wanted to select, and then let's create. Now that a storage account is created, let's go back to the resource group and create the Azure Synapse Analytics workspace. Now that we're back at the resource group, you can see the data lake is created and listed here as one of the resources. So now let's create the Azure Synapse Analytics workspace. So clicking on Add, typing in Synapse, you'll see the Azure Synapse Analytics, formerly SQL Data Warehouse, so you can still create just a data warehouse, or what we can do is create the preview Azure Synapse Analytics workspaces. So select the workspaces, and then we'll select Create. And so on this screen, we can create our Synapse workspace. So first, make sure that we've got the subscription we're looking for and the resource group. But again, since we asked to add from that resource group, these should be auto-populated. We need a workspace name. So we'll go WS Tutorial Demo. And it says East US 2, which is where our storage account is. And we're going to ask for the storage account, which we had SA Tutorial is our storage account. Now we don't have a file system name as yet, so we're going to create one new. So FS Tutorial Demo. Okay. And we're going to assign myself as a storage blob contributor role on the data lake storage gen 2 account SA Tutorial, and we'll see that just before we end up this demo. So that's all good. So we want to click on Security and Networking. Now here it's going to ask for a SQL Administrator credentials, which we'll cover later, but we're just going to put in a password. Now again, it'll provide one for you and it'll be at the end, but we're just going to put one in now. And we're going to grant control to the workspace's managed entity to all SQL pools and SQL on demand. In essence, it just allows the workspace and everything within the workspace to work together with the SQL pools and SQL on demand that are in the workspace. We're going to skip over tags. We see the summary, and you will notice that the SQL on demand at the moment, the cost is $5 per terabyte. And we're going to create. It'll say our deployment is underway, and it'll just take a little bit to finish that. Once our deployment is complete, let's go back to the resource group, and we should now see that we have our Synapse workspace and the storage account. And before I go on, what we want to do is let's take a look at the storage account. So one item covered in the tutorial was the contributor role. So if I go into the storage account, the access control, we look at role assignments, what you'll notice is the storage contributor role currently, since I was setting everything up and I selected that option, I'm a contributor, and so is the workspace itself, which gives the workspace rights to the container.